The origin story. How did we get started with video? The Digital Agent Podcast is sponsored by BounceCoffee.com, home of the exclusive Australian roasted high caffeine blend called Liquid Speed. This is my absolute favorite coffee on the planet, and if you'd like to try it, you can now get 10% off your first order by going to BounceCoffee.com and typing in the code DIGITAL10. That'll get you 10% off your order of Liquid Speed or any of their other delicious fresh blends of coffee, roasted every week right up here in North Queensland off the Great Barrier Reef in Townsville. BounceCoffee.com, making the world a better place, one cup at a time. The Digital Agent Podcast is always sponsored by CustomNeon.com, also known as the neoncollective.com.au. If you would like some fabulous signs for the front of your office or even your man cave, you can log on to the neoncollective.com.au here in Australia or CustomNeon.com in the States, and you can get 10% off your order with the code DIGITAL10. These guys are fantastic. G'day everyone, I'm Rob Levy and this is the Digital Agent Podcast, and today I am up where it all got started in Townsville, North Queensland off the Great Barrier Reef, and I'm here with Sean Lubbe.
How you going?
And Kaine Constantine, and these are the two gentlemen that my business got started with, utilizing video and social media in order to boost our real estate game. So let me start by introducing these two gentlemen. First off, all the way on my left, this is Sean Lubbe. Sean, tell us a little about yourself.
So I'm a real estate agent here in Townsville. I've been doing it now for 3.5 years. I started as a PA with Rob.
Let's be frank. Sean was the world's worst PA. Sorry, Sean.
You're all right.
It's entirely true. But then when I started getting him selling houses instead of doing my paperwork, the business just boomed, because naturally he's a salesman, and that's where we went. Now, we were doing pretty well by ourselves until about 2 years ago when I met Kaine Constantine. And Kaine, tell us a little bit about what you do in general, and then we'll talk about how we met.
I've been a photographer for about 15 years and then delved into video about 8-9 years ago. And one day I was trolling the marketplace. Well, no, let me start back. I originally was looking for a thing to do with my business where I wasn't the main salesman. It was always a good half side hustle in a way. And it dawned on me that real estate was a great option because it meant that I had agents that equally wanted the video as much as I wanted to produce it. So I then got onto Mr. Rob, who was selling a piece of mountain bike gear on a marketplace on Facebook, and I said, "No, you were buying."
Let me get into this.
That's right.
Okay, so I'm a cyclist, and I'm not a very good one, but for some reason I think that tiny little inches matter, and I wanted a stem that was this much longer than the current stem on my bike. So Kaine had one for sale for $35, and me being cheap, I sent him a message that said, "Hey, I'll buy that stem for you for $20. And Kaine said,
"Sure, but you've got to have coffee with me first."
And I thought, is this a pickup? I don't know what's going on, but to save $15, why not? And he's...
So came through and said, "This is the plan, this is what we should do," and that was that.
By this is the plan, what he said is, "Rob, I will change your business. Trust me, my videography skills and the houses you have to sell, if we put them together, it will completely change the game." So that's what we did about 2.5 years ago with a beautiful house on the golf course. And to be frank,
It's terrible.
It's one of the worst videos we've ever done.
Well, yeah, it's not
By standards, I think.
It's not the best. It took us about 3 hours to film. Do you guys remember what happened when we were on the golf course?
They were very confused as to who we were.
Yeah, they didn't enjoy us on the golf course at all. We didn't ask for permission, and
Rookie errors on everyone's behalf.
We actually got kicked off the golf course. They were like, "You can't film here without permission from the club." I mean, we'd asked, but they didn't realize that it was for commercial purposes. Now, always go out there and get official permission in writing. It didn't detract from the video at all. In fact, we just flew the drone over the course and used those shots.
thing?
Who's going to stop us? Who's going to stop us? And it ended up looking fantastic and brought quite a few people to the house. In fact, why don't we roll a clip of that video?
Luxury, privacy and contemporary style make this home an ideal haven for your family. Come check it out.
I think that was one of the first real video attempts anyone in Townsville had done for real estate. So it was a bit of a thing. It went up on Facebook and everyone went like, oh my God, what's going on here? And
to a professional standard anyway. I think, you know, before then people try to do the FaceTime, they try to do it with their phone.
Try and do it with your phone the cheap way, and it doesn't really do it much favour, I think. It's one of those things where if it's done to a professional standard, in a similar line to photography, you're not going to get, well, some people might, but you know, you don't just going to do photos on your phone. You're going to get a pro out there to get it done right. Why not do the same thing with video? So.
Absolutely. And for you real estate agents out there that are watching, of course you know that selling houses is only part of your business. Selling yourself and looking really good and professional while you work is the way that you bring in business, of course. So if you get a professional videographer like Kaine to come in and make you look amazing, not only does it really benefit your sellers, because then the house looks better than anything else on the market, you as the agent look absolutely dead set amazing because of Kaine's professional angles,
Well, it was really an accident. We didn't actually, or I didn't even see the potential of it happening, that there would be a marketing buyback from the agent. So, you know, you go out there, you're trying to make the houses look great to move them, because that's obviously where you're making your money. But the video is such a good way to get your face out there and get people to know you without actually shaking your hand. It's sort of a backwards way of getting into people's pockets and getting yourself introduced to the market without actually having to get people at open homes and stuff. So it's worked out well in the sense that the amount of profile an agent can get, particularly what you've managed to get in Townsville, was immense, and it was sort of all by accident.
Yeah,
Well,
we were.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, yeah, that's pretty consistent with what we thought as well. We, you know, the idea behind the video at first was to really get more customers through the door at our open homes, and the more we rolled on and the more we did, by the time we got, I mean, how many did we do together? 20, 25?
35.
35 in the first, what, 7 months?
Well, the exposure from the videos builds the profile, and it's building reliability.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Constantly there in the marketplace, front of mind. Just you're
So
always
after,
there.
so after that first 6 months, then we started realizing that, you know, a lot of our leads, due to the fact that we were doing fantastic marketing that hasn't been seen before, was actually generating fantastic leads with new homeowners we were attracting a different market with different styles of homes to sell in comparison to what we had before we started doing the video at all.
There's actually two angles to that. Number one, they saw Sean and I out there in the video selling houses, and so they contacted us. But number two, because the videos were drawing a massive amount more people to the houses, we were actually getting 10% higher prices than other agents in the area due to the competition. I mean, a classic example is, oh boy, what was
Black
the...
River.
Wow.
A lot of them.
Yeah, there's a million. But
First one was Raintree Avenue.
Raintree, thank you so much, Sean. That's exactly what I was going to say. Kerwin in Townsville is the largest suburb in all of Townsville with more than 8,500 houses. So attracting people to a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, which is generally not what the public wants, is extremely, extremely hard. So Sean and I made an amazing video about this 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom house, which sort of broke the mold because even though it was only 3-bed, 1-bath, it also had a 4th room that could be used as a bedroom, but on the websites you can't call it a bedroom. But the video showed that it was a 4-bedroom house. The video showed that there were 2 large decks. The video showed that there was an awesome shed. The video showed that there was a great pool, and we sold it. And when I say we, Sean sold it in 3 days for above the asking price, when possibly that house was worth in the high 2s. I think you got
331.5.
Yeah! And then when people started seeing those results, that's when the phone calls started coming in, because how did you get that price? What did you do? Well, we made a video.
2 days, or it was
nothing.
2
days? Yeah, 48 hours. Yeah, 48 hours. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. when the average time to sell a house in our town is anywhere at that time 60 to 100 days.
Anyway, yeah, somewhere around there.
Something else that video does is make buyers more comfortable with us agents. Right before the podcast, I was having a chat with Sean about what happens at his open homes. What were you telling me?
Can we show them a few clips of the outros?
Okay. So here's the bit of the end of every single video. Not every single, but just
Actually,
about.
Whoa. We'll start again. It was actually the intros. It's the intros that we do.
It's the intros.
It's the
Sorry,
intros?
it's the intros.
Okay, here's the intro to the videos that Sean is doing.
A stunning, classical, timeless home, and all the hard work's been done for you. Let's go inside and have a look. An occupant masterpiece, luxury living at its finest with jetliner views. Let's go inside and have a look. How good are high-set homes, and this one's extra special. Let's go inside and have a look. A large family 4-bedroom home on a quarter acre with so many features. Let's go inside and have a look.
Right, so Sean, what's happening at the open homes?
Okay, so now I've got customers walking through my homes. We're having higher than average numbers come through the open homes for the houses that are priced right. And I've got people now coming through that have seen plenty of my videos, and they're mimicking my catchphrase, "Wait till you see what's inside," or "Let's go inside and have a look."
So they're coming to the front door and saying, "Hey Sean, let's go inside and have a look." Now that's a little bit weird because really no one likes real estate agents, but they have that familiarity with you.
It buys you 90 seconds to get your personality across, and it can make people think, yeah, I really like this guy, or yes, he's going above and beyond to do this, so therefore they're going to walk up to you at an open, and they're already going to feel comfortable because they've seen your face so many times that they're going to feel like they already know you, but you've got no idea who they are. But that's where you can really be a salesman and really get it right.
That's exactly what it is. You know, I find that the familiarity is coming from the online presence, and although I'm meeting customers 3, 4, 5 times before they really buy from me or buy from a different agent once they've done their market research, it's really the people that have never met me before, but I've seen plenty of my videos that join in the fun. And sometimes I think that they come through the homes purely just to see the homes that we sell, because what they're looking online is a fantastic product in comparison to other homes that they're seeing advertised online.
It's a multi-stage thing because it's also working with it's a total package when you include really good styling, a nice clean house that has everything right, good video presence, good photos. That whole package works together to just lift the entire brand up and
Right.
move stuff.
It's a synergistic effect. The little pieces come together and multiply. So something that Sean and I have been doing for all of our houses, and that Sean has continued on his own since I've left and moved down to Brisbane, is we go in and we see a house for the first time, and we see little tiny 1% items that need to be touched up. The silicone at the edge of the kitchen sink is a classic one. What's another one, Sean, that we always get?
Yeah, the wet spots. So the wet spots are extremely important. So getting the sealant right in the kitchens and bathrooms. With your high-set homes, sometimes your rendering with your concrete stumps is quite important as well. If your paint's quite outdated, you know, doing internal paint makes a massive difference. If you want to chase either the bedrooms or the living space, or do a whole interior paint, which sometimes isn't necessary, makes a huge difference to the perception when people are coming through the open home. And you know, a lot of people do want to buy competitively, knowing that there's not too much left to do to the home.
I mean, it's a classic thing, right? Ladies, the husband's always going to fix up those little things, and that's been the story of your life for 10 years. You go into a house where there's going to be 10 things on the honey-do list, you know you're going to be stuck with it for a while.
Tough.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But then you walk into one of our houses where all those tiny little items are done. Yes, the sellers of our houses sometimes spend between $1,500 to $5,000 before we hit the market, but then routinely, when the buyers come to our houses, they spend $15,000 to $30,000 more in the Townsville market, and in the Brisbane market where I'm selling, $50,000 to $100,000 more on the house. So we combine getting the houses ready and fixing all the little things with interior staging and styling. Now, we're here in Kaine's living room, and it's not styled, my friend.
It's not.
It doesn't look bad, though. But, Sean, what would you say? You're staging 70% of your houses?
Every single one I can get my hands on.
It's worth it.
Now, stylists in the Brisbane area cost between $3,000 and $10,000. $10,000! But the houses there are selling for $1 million to $1.5 million, and they sometimes are quite a bit more fancy than up here in Townsville. Stylists up here, what do they charge?
So look, if you want to do a full style, it's about $2,000 depending on which stylist you're talking to. You know, if you've got repeat business or you've got someone in your close sphere of influence, you're probably looking at $1,700, $1,800 if you're doing well. But I'd be prepared to, if I'm selling my own home, I'd probably budget anywhere between $1,800 to $2,500, just to make sure that the package for your home's right and you're taking on board exactly what the stylist is encouraging you to go forward with.
And the crazy thing about the styling is, we were talking a minute ago about synergistic multiplying effect. The styling is great when people show up in person, but our number one job as real estate agents is to get people in that door. And the best way to get people in the door is to fix up the little tiny bits, then put the stunning furniture in, then film a fantastic and engaging video. People see that, we get 10 times the buyers of other agents in the area, and then they're looking over their shoulders. They're going, wow, I've been to other open homes and there's only one lonely dude. This one's crowded. And when we call them back and say there's been an offer on that house, they know that we're serious. And they have this fear of missing out.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's no other houses that look quite as good as ours. And that's when we get the absolute best price for people's homes.
In terms of the marketing, it's also the thing that, say, if you're filming a house, or yes, I know you can do virtual furniture and photos these days, it's all high tech, I'm sure.
Yep.
But with video, you can't necessarily lie, so you really have to sell the dream, and that's where styling works. If you have to film an empty room, you're not going to do too much. But if you can film something that's got, you know, a bit of substance, a bit of life, it makes it very easy for you to sell that dream onto people.
Now, Kaine basically taught me how to do real estate video. I know, it's funny, but,
It is funny.
but we went into this having no idea whatsoever what we're doing, and we settled on a length of time of about 1 minute and 20 seconds as ideal.
It was a lot of backwards and forwards working out, particularly with Facebook, where the algorithm will sit to be most favoured, and also when people get bored. I mean, no one's going to sit there and watch a 5-minute thing.
So why is it that 1.5 minutes is the key?
It really does come down to the editing, but I find a lot of the time that 90-second marker, usually by about 40 seconds people turn off, but if it's dynamic enough and exciting, you'll probably keep people to about 1.5 minutes. And it's just a matter of getting the flow through the house and having it edited, I guess, in a way that is captivating, and, you know, good music pays for itself as well. Yeah.
Look, I was going to stop you there.
Speaking of staying tuned to the end, at the end of this video, I'm going to throw Kaine and Sean under the bus and ask them for their top 10 tips on how to make a good real estate video. So stay tuned to the end. Top 10, guys. So start thinking about it now. Now, Sean, you were going to say something. Go ahead.
No, I've lost it.
Oh, it's gone!
Scratch it.
Okay, so 1.5 minutes is ideal. And realtors out there that are watching this, trust me, the absolute last thing you want to do is a walkthrough of the home, starting at the front door and finishing at the back door.
Unless you've got a client on the other side of the phone.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about that.
Well, I actually just did one this weekend. Can we use addresses? Can we use isolated
Yeah,
listings?
why not?
Because that one's going to actually go today. That's a pretty good example. So this home at 510 Bayswater Road in Mount Louisa, Townsville. It's a 3-bedroom, 3-bedroom, 1-bath high set. That the client did everything that was asked of him. It was previously tenanted. He has done all the maintenance work you could possibly do. He's done some painting. He's looked after all the air conditioning, so they all work. In Townsville, it's about 37 degrees right now, so everyone wants to make sure that all the air conditioners are working.
That's 90 degrees for you Americans. It's bloody hot.
It's bloody hot. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's done full staging around the home. It's built in underneath. Fantastic entertainer. I can't really disclose what the house is for sale. But we had a massive number of people come through the open home on Sunday, and what Rob was talking about before in regards to people looking over their shoulders and seeking out competition, we're basically standing today where the owner's going to have a look at 4 different contractual offers that he's going to choose from, and I can already tell you that the lowest offer that he's going to have to accept is at the asking price.
Yeah!
And it can only go north from there. So what are we now? 10:47. So just a little over an hour's time, I'm going to give the owner a ring and let him know that worst case scenario is selling his property for the asking price.
Not bad.
Not bad at all. And where you started that conversation, where you're bragging about how good you are at selling houses,
You sold me.
you were about to tell us about how you did a video where you started at the front door and ended at the back door.
Oh, thank you. One of those people making an offer on the property is an out-of-town purchaser. So he's sitting in Brisbane, I believe. After that open home, I took a couple of offers and I let a gentleman know who called me during the week. He wanted to make a flight down to or up to Townsville in about a week's time, and I said to him, look, you're probably not going to have the chance to. After my open home, why don't I do a virtual walkthrough of the home? You can drive me, and we'll stop the video once you've had enough. We finished the video, gave him a full walkthrough. He asked all the questions that he needed to. It basically was him walking through the home. He decided to make an offer. So this gentleman's actually in the running right now. He's part of the 4 customers right now that are in the multiple offer scenario.
And he's never seen the place.
And he's never seen the property. So he's up in the running. I'm going to give these 4 customers one last call before we go ahead and let the owner know that he's in a pretty good situation.
Good result.
That's really good to hear. Now, speaking of walking through the home from start to finish, there's actually 2 tools that I would recommend that help you with that. Number 1, this is a Osmo 3, and if you want to get super fancy, and you want to really make people not nauseous as you're walking through the house holding your phone for them, this gimbal, they're very inexpensive. Even in Australia, I think they're about $250. They're much less than that in the States. And it can hold your phone and guide it through and look almost as smooth as the...
Stops you from being seasick.
Yeah, that's basically it. The other tool is a super wide lens. I use the Moment super wide lens, and I'll grab that for you next time someone else is talking. It's behind the couch, and I'll show it to you. And what it does is it just opens up the rooms, because when you're in a small bathroom with the camera lens, you're only looking at this tiny little bit, and to viewers looking at the house from across the country, it just doesn't look appealing. Whereas with the super wide lens, it really mimics what the human eye can see when you walk into a room. And it is a $250 investment, but we're talking about the commission on the next 150 houses you sell. It pays for itself 100 times over. So that would be my biggest recommendation. In saying that, don't let that stop you from doing video, because Sean,
don't let it discourage you.
Did you use it?
No, I used my trusty phone. Look, there were some areas in the home where I knew that the angles weren't going to be right. I couldn't film the whole room, so I tried my best. At the end of the day, it's about doing it, not exactly how you're doing it. So if you don't have the right equipment, get started and do it anyway. You can get the equipment later on.
You'll get better with every single one that happens as well. That's the most important thing to learn, is that, I mean, we obviously might not have been that good for the first one we did, but it only took, I reckon, 3, and we had the flow down perfectly. It's just a matter of keeping at it, keeping consistent.
Yeah.
Okay, so because we were just talking about it, here is a look at the Moment super wide angle lens. It fits on about 10 different phones on the case that goes on your phone, and it says 18 millimeters on the side there, and you can get them on the web by searching Moment lenses, and hopefully, shout out to Moment, we'll get in touch. Now, I wanted to talk though about how I said you don't film a house from the start to the finish. This is something that Kaine taught us that's very important. The first 10 seconds of the video are the most important. Why is that?
If you want to engage a viewer, it's really the first 5 seconds. And you've got to think that, you know, your average Joe is sitting there scrolling in their phone, you know, lying in bed. They're going to have the autoplay go, and it's that first 5 seconds that they're going to stop and they're going to watch it. They're going to sit there and go, what is this about? Or they might see something they like and they'll go, oh, I'm interested in this, I'm going to watch it. But if you set the tone for the video in that first 5 to 10 seconds, it'll then flow for the rest of the 90 seconds or however long your video is. So if you have that first part perfect, you're going to have that engagement right through all the way to the end.
We've proved that. We've actually experimented with it, sort of accidentally. We've had videos where it's, "Hi, my name is Rob. Come and have a look at the inside of this house."
Flat.
Dead set. 1/3 the engagement of a video where we start with a drone shot or we start with me jumping in a pool. When are you jumping in a pool?
No, I'm not jumping in a pool.
Sean should jump in a pool. If this video
I'll come up with something better than that.
Okay. But those sort of
Gotta find the right pool.
Yeah, that's right.
those sort of engagements in the first few seconds of your video, yes, it might make you look a little bit silly as the agent. And yes, as agents, we sit down at kitchen tables and people say, "Why do you do so many silly things? I want an agent who's serious." Well, the answer is it brings 3 to 10 times as many viewers to that video, which means that it costs less to share it on Facebook, which means that more people see it for the money, which means that more people turn up at the open home, which means there's more competition, which means you get a better price.
A really important point there as well, which you just sort of touched on, was there's a really distinct difference between being a complete goof and doing almost like a parody amateur video where you're doing it as almost a joke. Now, the way I see it is someone's spending a lot of money. So you need to still be professional, but you can still have a sense of humour with it. I think that's the fine line of being engaging, but also being serious enough that you're going to sell, $1 million property. Like, it's just a matter of walking that fine line where it's entertaining and captivating.
Yeah, well, I think that's the difference there is the execution. You gotta execute your professional video, and if the tone's to be comedic, then you'll get it right. But
it's got to be good. If it's going to be comedic, it's got to be good.
If it's an amateurish video and you haven't been prepared and you're just trying to take the mimic and hoping that your audience finds it funny, it's probably going to have a negative effect on what you're trying to achieve.
Because at the end of the day...
Oh, we just had a light out.
That's all right.
We just continue.
Yeah, it looks fine.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you've got to think that, turning back to the marketing standpoint, you've got a future client watching this video. So if it's good, they're going to say, "I want to list with that guy." But if it's bad, they're going to say, "Oh, I'm going to stay away from that." So it's important to get it right.
In saying that, that doesn't mean that you have to be a vanilla real estate agent. I mean, most of the people watching this have probably seen some clips from my video. I've ridden horses wearing a wig. I've jumped into pools in a suit.
Lawnmowers.
Ridden lawnmowers around in circles.
Yeah.
And hey, there are a lot of people who don't like that. But guess what? There's a lot of people that think that's fantastic, and those people call me in, and those people list with me, and they get fantastic results, because odds are the people who like that sort of thing like that sort of house. And
there's a demographic to it. There's certain houses which suit certain styles, and there's others which suit others. So it's a matter of picking, I guess, every house has a different feel, a different vibe, so sort of tailoring yourself to that is very important.
in saying that, we're not always goofballs. In fact, why don't we roll one of the first serious videos that we made together. Here's a 10-second clip from a stunning house we sold at Huntswood Avenue in Kerwin. There is absolutely nothing else in Townsville like the architecturally designed 18 Huntswood Court here at Willowbank. Check it out. Now that house is a 3-bedroom house, and 3-bedroom houses in Kerwin on average sell for about $295,000. Sean, dead set legend that he is, was able to put that deal together at...
Oy, that's 12 months ago now. 483, I think it would have been.
$483,000, which is essentially an unheard of price for a 3-bedroom house in that neighborhood, and I don't think there's any way that we would have attracted that buyer without that completely out-of-the-box, outstanding video presentation. But we couldn't do that one like a goofball, because that house was very refined.
Sophisticated.
Very sophisticated. Yeah. And hey, the buyer we found, very sophisticated.
Yeah.
Very professional.
It's different markets for everything.
So right now I'm going to turn to Sean, because Sean was my business partner here in Townsville. We worked together for 3 years or so, and he's now an independent agent here in Townsville. And since this is the Digital Agent Podcast, I'm going to ask him how using video and using digital marketing is affecting his workflow as a new independent agent in this market. Go.
Thank you. So basically all the leads come from the promotions that we're doing. Our listing to selling ratio is extremely high. We promote all our sales so our audience sees exactly what we're doing on a consistent basis. I think we're putting, we used to, now it's me on my own, we're putting a contract together one in every 8 days.
Woo!
The important thing is to make sure you promote that. Nobody knows what you're doing if you're not promoting that online. People see those results, and if they think you're consistent, they're probably going to want you to represent them.
So, Sean, you are at a point right now where, since you're doing a video for every house, the market in our 150,000 person town effectively sees you 4 to 6 times a month presenting a house.
Yeah.
And that means you're
At
not,
least.
not 4 to 6.
4 to 6 times every month.
4 to 6 times every month they see Sean promoting a new house that Kaine films for him. So, because of that, are you doing any letterbox drops to get business?
No.
Are you doing any door knocking to get business?
No.
Are you doing any cold calling to get business?
No.
So, what are you doing to get business?
So basically, look, I mean, it's been an added bonus having Rob on the team as well. He's really started this brand that and this journey that we've been on now for 3 years. And realistically speaking, once he's gone, you know, we really had to elevate what we were doing as well. We've gone down from a team of 4 to me as an individual, and without Kaine's help, it would have been quite difficult to keep the momentum going. So, you know, luckily we had strong foundations once Rob went to Brisbane, and all we really had to do was just keep the momentum up and make sure that we were executing every week.
Yeah.
And if you were to run out of listings, that might be nice. You could get a break. But if you were to run out of listings, would you consider getting together with Kaine and making a video about the videos that you guys are making?
Yeah, 100%.
I think an important thing with that is it's one thing to be consistent with your property videos, but going that little bit extra and doing something that isn't just a property video, whether it is promotions or, you know, bragging about your sales or whatever you want to do, it's not only just getting you out of that house zone effectively on Facebook, it's getting you in a different light on social media where you can have the audience, you've got the floor to basically tell everyone, yes, you should list with me because I'm doing this.
And there's a lot of people out there who are watching who aren't thinking about selling their house and who aren't real estate agents, but they are business owners interested in digital marketing. So since I've got Kaine here, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about that. We have a mutual friend that started a car selling business, and
Crazy story.
it's a crazy story. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Very small yard he started off with, which is very hidden away in an industrial suburb here in Townsville, and he was, I mean, most car yards would sell 40 cars a month max, absolute max, and that's his average at the moment because for the past 2 years?
2 years, yeah. 1.5?
1.5 years, yeah, 1.5. We've done a consistent video every week, and we're constantly getting out there in Facebook land, making people see what's available, and I guess there's a bit of, you can have a bit more comedic value when it comes to used cars, so we have a lot of fun, but having that constant edge and constant press, always uploading stuff on Facebook is meaning that it's getting to the point where everyone knows him, so if they walk into the dealership, they know his face, they know what he's like, they know his sense of humour, and it's comfortable straight off the bat. But it's also meaning that it's a quite a unique way for a car dealership to operate and to advertise because no one's really going to that much effort, but for him it's just so easy.
And that's why when you're starting out in video, please don't try to do it yourself. It is a giant mountain to climb. It is entirely too hard. Find yourself...
It's one thing to worry about shooting it, making it look good. It's another thing to present to camera. And that's one thing that a lot of people struggle with. And that's the point where you have to sit there and think, okay, well, I will get better, but you just have to be consistent. I mean, I've shot with people who have done 1 or 2 videos and it might not have been crash hot and they've just sort of freaked out and gone, no, I don't want to do that anymore. But at the end of the day, it's the consistency which is what delivers. So if you keep going, keep getting better at it, I'll rock up to the dealership and we'll be done in 20 minutes because I can just say, all right, what are we doing? We'll come up with a little plan, script, and then one shot, we're done.
Yeah, in saying that, our first video, as I mentioned previously, took us about 3 hours to film. Some days, Sean and I would be running around signing contracts. We'd be an hour late to our video shoot. We always shoot at sunset, and we'll talk about why in a minute, but we always shoot at sunset. So that means we might only have 30 minutes of light before we have to get it right.
Pressure's on.
And Kaine and Sean and I have been able to nail a video of a 4-bedroom house, front to start, no script, ready to go in 25 minutes, lock the door and be away. Why? Because once you've done 40 to 50, it actually does get easier. You get completely comfortable with it, so please don't get discouraged.
You gotta know what to say as well. There's a good story, and it's not either of you two, but there was an agent in Townsville I did a video for who was very short on time. So, for example, he had to be somewhere at 5 o'clock, and I said, all right, well, meet me at the house at 4:30. And he was like, oh, is it going to be too short? And I'm like, no, it'll be okay. Get there, write the script, do everything we need to do. Had him shot in 20 minutes. He was out of the door. I think it was his daughter's football game or something like that. And I came home, had it done, edited, and the total turnaround time for the entire job was an hour and a half.
Wow.
That is the advantage of having a professional videographer on your team. It might cost you 60% more, but it's going to save you 10 hours of trying to edit it yourself. And the other thing that having a professional videographer lets you do is completely mess everything up. In fact, let's roll a clip of some goof ups that Sean and I have done, because when you have someone like Kaine, you can be completely comfortable messing up, knowing he's going to edit those out and get the right take from you. So roll that. Arf, 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 arf. We've got a house that captures cool sea breezes year-round off Cleveland Bay.
Flowing on from the main living is a flowing on from the main living area is a spectacular flowing on from the main living area as flowing on from the main living area is a spectacular entertainer's patio.
This house will suit the largest families. Right, so that's what it looks like behind the scenes, and that's why I always say making a video is kind of like making sausage. You don't want to know what goes into it, but once it's made,
the product is great.
It's fantastic. So, Kaine, you've made videos for car dealerships.
Lots of corporate, lots of real estate, lots of retail, you name it, anything. So, pretty broad mix. Real estate was a good challenge because every house is different and every agent is different. There's different personas, different vibes. Everything can change from day to day. Retail is relatively generic a lot of the time. It's, if you've got that sales experience within you, it's quite easy. And obviously TV world is pretty governed by boundaries in a way. So a lot of the production stuff can all intermingle with itself. And so, you get sales experience in retail can come through to real estate and vice versa. So you can just learn different things about, different businesses. And, the car dealership's a great example because that is quite heavily focused on retail. Whereas with real estate, it might not necessarily be. I mean, with Huntswood, that wasn't at all a retail push. That was purely an awareness drive and showing off the features of the property rather than sort of pushing a price point. So it's interesting to know or to sort of think about what your end goal is going to be with a video and then work backwards from there to get it right.
What sort of equipment do you use when filming? I mean, it's changed over the years because you're an absolute nut and a gearhead. I think you upgraded your camera 3 times in 1 year.
I think so.
But what are you shooting on now?
Currently a Panasonic GH5S, which is a sort of a baby cinema camera in a way. It's a bit of a little beast. I can't part with it. I love it too much. Most importantly for real estate is the good wide angle lens. That's the breaker when it comes to it. I mean, you could be filming on a potato. If you put a good lens on, it's going to look good.
Why'd you point at me when you said potato?
Hey!
It stands out. I am currently using a Olympus 7-14mm 2.8, so extremely bright, nice and wide open, but it's that wide being a 7mm that it gets the perspective of the rooms perfectly. And that, I think, is the deal breaker, and that can be where that professional look can come from, because you're not just tightly squeezed or focused on, a part of a room you don't necessarily want to look at.
Now, can I give away a secret? What is that thingy on the top of your camera that you're using now?
The monitor?
Yeah.
It's an external recorder, so it basically just ups the quality from internal recording. Very funny trickery, but it's actually just to help me see because I'm going blind.
Okay. So, do you mind naming it? Do you know what it's called?
That's an Atomos Ninja 5. It's got a solid state drive slot on the back, so I can put a hard drive in it and record basically direct video feed from the sensor of the camera to that hard drive.
And the camera's on a gimbal when you record most of the time?
Most of the time on a gimbal. Sometimes, you can't underestimate the power of a handheld shot. because it does give a very natural, native looking thing. I mean, you're a big fan of that,
Yeah,
particularly in
love it.
terms of getting those closer details. And this is where going back to styling is really important. You know, that's how you can sort of sell that half lifestyle aspect. So use handheld a lot of the time, but mostly gimbal work, and also controlling your speed is really important. A lot of the time when I'm filming, I'll work very slowly because I know I've got the ability to speed it up later in post. And that's where it gets exciting, because then you can make the cut as dynamic or as I guess, slow as you want it to be.
Right. So why do you film every house, with us at least, at twilight?
Mostly because there's a really important, I guess, visually, for me, it's to get the lighting level between the indoors and the outdoors. If you have a shot where say a window is completely blown out, it's going to take away from the shot. You might get a nasty shadow somewhere. Whereas if you can showcase the interior lighting of a house, particularly if it's got gorgeous downlighting, that shows up so well on camera, and it really does get emphasized by the movement. So if you shoot at twilight, you can not only get an amazing sunset shot from the front, but you can also get the exterior lights of the front of a house, downlights in, you know, entertaining areas and stuff. And also for a pool shot, you got the pool light, so it doesn't get better than that.
Now you're on your like 10th drone as well.
Second.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got to call him
So
out a little bit,
what drone
keep him
are you
honest.
shooting on?
Currently just a Mavic Platinum, but I'm not necessarily droning as much as I otherwise would. I mean, it's horses for courses. There's some properties which do benefit from it, and that would be anything acreage, anything that you want to show off size and how vast something can be.
What if it's got no rear neighbors?
Exactly. But if it's just a resident, I mean, example, if it's a smaller block residence, you don't necessarily want to drone that because it's going to emphasize how small it is. So it's just a matter of making the best of what you've got. And also, you know, legally, no-fly zones, all that kind of stuff. So I've sort of have moved away a little bit from droning lately because I feel like it's a cheap excuse to make a shot look cool when you can do the same thing from the ground. That's just me.
Fantastic.
I like it, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we put Sean and Kaine on the spot? Unless there's anything else you want to say about digital marketing or video before we get started.
One thing, just do it. Just do it.
The
Don't
key,
hold back.
the key is just getting in and doing it, folks. As I always say, it's like driving a car, and credit to Jesse Peters for this analogy. The first time you drive a car, it's awkward, it feels weird, you're embarrassed,
Very true.
it's not right.
And don't worry about the listing price of the home that you've got to market either.
If you think it's too much, don't freak out, because at the end of the day, it's a matter of having the confidence to go through it. And I think that's the one thing on video that I guess we haven't spoken about, is if you look like you're confident, and if you're speaking with confidence, that's going to come across better tthan anything. So I think it's important to at least back yourself in that regard.
Absolutely. What is beeping?
It's my NBN box.
You live with that all the time?
I've blocked it out.
What is this, a third world country?
I live in there.
That's true. You live in the
I live in my dungeon.
you live in the dark editing dungeon. So yeah, as these guys say, just get in there and do it. Get it started, because it's like driving a car. The first time you drive it, it's going to be awkward. It's going to feel weird, but the moral of the story is you get where you're going 5 times faster than walking, and by the time you're on your 15th or 20th video, mate, that investment you've made in yourself, it will naturally elevate your game. You'll be comfortable, you'll be confident, and the market will see that. Exactly. Not only the buyers, but the potential sellers, and it'll really lift what you're doing to an entirely new level. So,
Probably it's easy to be scared of the price of video as well. I mean, some videographers might charge a fortune. They'd want to be good, but others, you know, it can be quite an affordable thing. But it's not the matter of, I mean, you can take that off a marketing budget from a house, but it's also a matter of that's your own personal marketing taken care for. Sean's a perfect example of that, where your marketing 100% is coming off the back of just consistent videos, and that works really well.
there's some people in some offices that I know that have spent $5,000 this year doing letterbox drops. Now, $5,000 would get me about 15 videos, each of which I could send out to 20,000 people across Facebook, which is going to be more effective getting into their letterbox or getting into their bedroom.
The other thing we haven't spoken about, and the most
There we go,
single
thank you.
greatest
Yeah,
important
awesome.
part,
Let's lift this.
is captions.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought that up.
80% of video on social media is watched without captions because people, like I said, are sitting in bed, their partner's next to them asleep, and they're sitting there watching a video. If they have it on mute and they can't hear what you're saying and you're just sitting there chatting, they need to have the captions there to understand what's going on, because that's the single way to get the message across. Because 80% of people are watching videos on mute. Think about everyone in offices.
Yeah.
Everyone in bed. Everyone sitting on the couch while the TV's on.
Everyone in the toilet.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's important to always have captions. We always try and hard encode them onto the video, because then people don't have a choice.
Absolutely. So what we do when we say hard encode is we burn them onto the bottom of the video so that we don't depend on YouTube or Facebook to automatically upload them for us.
Makes it a part of the video. So.
From the SRT file, that's a time-coded caption file. We don't bother with that. We use Adobe Premiere, burn them right into the video. That way they're always there. And I'm always fighting with this guy. I want bigger, blacker, bolder captions, and he says it takes away from the video.
So ugly a lot of the time.
I love a big caption.
No.
All right, so I guess Kaine has segued into our top tips for video without me getting started. That is top tip number 1. We're going to try to reach 10. I don't know if we'll get there. Sean, do you have a top tip for making a video?
We'll get there. What do you reckon?
I can
we'll
name
go
10
from 10
straight away.
Straight
All
away.
right,
Go for it.
Captions. Always use a gimbal,
Okay, wait. Always use a gimbal. Why?
so people don't get seasick.
Right.
There's nothing worse than, there's no better way to have fluid motion in a video than using a gimbal, and that way you've got total creative control in terms of the timing, the speed, everything. So yeah, it's a no-brainer for me.
Yeah, I have seen handheld shots where they've slowly walked through a house, and then they speed it up, and it looks like this.
Yeah.
Not cool,
Now,
people.
Me being the total professional I am, my gimbal died on a shoot we did a couple of weeks ago.
I could tell which one too.
It was extremely difficult to edit because I'm so used to that flowy nature of the gimbal, but because my gimbal had died because I changed some setting and the battery is drained within 10 minutes, it meant that I had to handhold a lot of those shots, and it got really hard because you don't have that progressive motion. So it opens you up not only to just, you can sit there and handheld and pan it, but if you've got a gimbal, you've got an XYZ that you can cross, and you can walk around with it and really showcase a room and use speed as your transitions, basically.
Now, do you use a control on your gimbal to control where the camera's looking?
No, not usually.
It's just on some auto mode that...
It just follows the way I twist. I've got the, I think it's the Xeon Crane 2, and it's a total workhorse. It broke once, but I sent it away and it came back and it's been flawless since, so it's a bit of a beast.
And you've used that not only for Sean and my 50 videos in the last year, but for
everything.
How many would you say you've filmed on it in the last year?
There's that YouTube kind of look where vloggers got very into using gimbals, and that smooth motion is such a... It's a cheap way to make stuff look cinematic, and that's the most important part, is getting that really cinematic look, making a 3-bedroom house on Bayswater Road look like it's a part of a Hollywood set. And that's the key, is then it sells people the dream of, I want to live there. And I will probably use that gimbal maybe once for almost every shoot. Maybe a little bit less lately, but it's extremely common for me to just... It's so much easier because it's basically a safeguard. You can't really muck it up if you've got a gimbal on, because you're not going to get a slightly jerky movement because you've got a twitch or whatever. Like, you've just constantly got that smoothness.
All right, so Kaine says he's got 10 top
a good
tips.
one.
Did you have one, Sean, or should we go back to Kaine?
Go back to Kaine.
Go back to Kaine.
Yeah,
What's
you're
next?
killing the game right now.
Captions.
Are we going to do it from the
gimbal.
videographer standpoint or agents or both?
Let's do both.
Do both.
Captions, gimbal, good microphone.
Good
Very
microphone, very
There's
important.
nothing worse than, yes, we talk about everyone watching on mute, but if they do listen to the audio, it's got to be clean. Good engaging music is really important because it gives you something to cut to. It keeps people entertained.
Is that the same point or is that another point?
That's a different point.
So is that 4?
Yeah, that's 4, but
we'll
hang on,
slow
I'm
it
going to
up.
break it down.
We'll
So
slow it
as
up a
far
little
as
bit.
a good microphone goes, what I'm using currently are called a Rode...
So Rode do a good, in terms of affordability, they're great. It's the Rode Link system, so they're all wireless. What my pet peeve is seeing microphones on people is also
I'm
always
sorry, dude.
try and
Look, it's
hide
right
your
here.
microphones.
I was wondering where yours were.
Now, actually, he's recording into, and we'll just go to the wide shot here, hello. He's recording into what's called a Zoom H6 recorder, and this is how I record the podcasts, because it's got 2 separate inputs for each of our Rode mics, as well as 2 vacant inputs if we wanted more, and it's got a recorder that's recording the room, and that's what we're listening to Kaine on, and hopefully, I've got it on and you sound okay, or I'm going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 5, I always shoot in log,
Whoa!
which is a camera profile, which is Panasonic. It's Vlog. It enables you for much greater color correction, much better use of dynamic
Yeah.
range within the camera, and that can mean that your sky will be exposed and the shadows will be exposed, and you're not going to get. There's nothing worse than a blown out sky or something that's really, really dark. Like, you've
Yeah.
got to have everything nice and level throughout the shot. That's
Okay.
really important.
So for the amateurs out there that don't know what we're talking about by shooting in log, I'm going to roll a short clip of log footage. And you can see it looks friggin' awful. Why would you shoot in log? Why would you shoot in log? Because what can you do with that footage?
It's infinitely better in terms of color grading, and it gives you so much more versatility.
I don't know how he does it, but that's why you hire a professional. Don't do it yourself, because as you can see, our videos look fantastic and he's shooting them in some kind of gray washed garbage. What are you doing?
Exactly. Well, most of the time, Premiere Pro, there's many different ways you can grade footage, but a lot of the time it's just finding an appropriate, lookup table, otherwise known as a LUT, and then you can muck with your curves, color, whatever you want to do.
Okay, so that's
Pretty
tip
complex.
number 5. What else have you got?
What are you going to do?
Tip number 6 will be make sure the scripting is good and short and to the point. There's nothing better than just rambling on about some particular
That's a
feature
good
that
point,
people
yeah.
might not care about. It's just get to the point, talk about what you want to talk about, and keep it short and sharp so that people are constantly engaged.
Know what the selling point of that specific home is, and then reverse engineer that back into the dialogue of the video.
Exactly.
Right, so let's talk about that briefly, Sean, because this is
Yeah.
something that Sean and I do when we're filming videos. We start with the style of the house. If it's on the beach and it's a beachy feel, the whole video is centered around lifestyle. If it's a high-end house in the suburb with modern stone bench tops and automatic window screens, we style the whole video around luxury. There's always a theme. Hey,
Affordability.
yeah,
Investments.
What if it's a $150,000 house way out in the sticks? What do you do?
Still do the video. You want to talk about the affordability.
If it's cheap, you can sell the price point.
Absolutely. So we start around the theme and what you can do with that house and what your lifestyle is going to be and what you can create. Again, don't walk in the front door and go, this is the front room, and then here's the living room, and then here's the bathroom. It's not nearly as effective as saying, this fantastic house at an amazing price point can be a place where your family can live and still have money to go to Paris this summer. Bring a tool bucket, bring your friends, and bring a pizza, because it's going to need a little bit of work, but wait till you see what you can create here. Is
Bingo.
way better than a boring tour of a...
Shit shack.
I was going to say it. Kaine
were
said
gonna
it.
say- yeah.
Can we make sure the captions say shit shack?
Something like that.
Okay.
The other one would be, I think, after, we're going to stay on that point for a second. With your rural properties, I think in 2020, I think your rural properties that, traditionally go for a lot of tangible marketing are probably going to see a significant increase with their value driven in their video marketing.
100%.
Because there's no one doing that. I think there's a perception out there with your rural towns that, there's only one way to sell a property.
It's the old school way.
That's the old school way. Yeah,
But- It's only really the past, and I think about this a lot, even in terms of the car dealership or everything I do. I mean, a lot of my money is made because of social media, and it's only really been since 3G, when people have the ability to pull a device out of their pocket and stream a video, that all this is
Yeah.
taken off. So you've got to remember that that's only really 6-7 years ago, to the point where now that it has changed so fast that it's hard to keep up. You've got to constantly be on the edge for it to...
It's
sort
the
of
norm
be
for
front
luxury
line.
properties. I think now it's becoming the norm for luxury properties. It's fallen itself into the suburban market, and I think next is definitely going to be acreage to rural properties. They're going to see a huge benefit. I don't know why commercial agents aren't doing it. I think it'll be a massive advantage.
Shout out to Tom at Remax
Yeah.
Commercial. It's time to
Yeah.
get on video. I've seen you do a couple. Let's up the game this year in 2020.
Honestly, I think if you can get someone like Kaine behind you and you're doing some commercial advertising, your reach from a domestic level couldn't be matched by your competitors. I'm certain.
And
of
even
it.
your reach on an international level. Let's say you're in a
Yeah.
town like mine in Brisbane and you have an industrial park and you want to source investors from China, from Hong Kong, from London. Are some pictures of a warehouse going to do it?
No.
No! Because no one's going to read about that. But doing a dynamic video showing what you can create there and the potential
Office
for
space.
income,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
office space, the location with the drone, how close it is to the nearest restaurants
Sell
for your
people
workers.
what you think they can get. Sell a
Absolutely.
dream. So.
Yeah.
And going back to where Sean started this point about acreage, man, 8 to 10 photos of an acreage property never do it justice compared to seeing the horses running through the paddock, giving that lifestyle feel of riding on the lawnmower with an esky. That's a icebox for you Americans, with an icebox full of beers on the back. That's what sells that dream. And for our game, that's what's made a massive difference. The last acreage property I sold in Townsville was in a suburb called Toonpan. And if you ask a Townsville resident, had you guys ever heard of Toonpan before? And these guys have lived here their whole lives. I'd never heard of it either, and I was a real estate agent here for 7 years. The other agents said that house will sell for $420,000 because it's out in Toonpan and no one's ever heard of it, and it was 25 miles out of town. But we made a fantastic video about it, and the first 3 days on the market, it sold for above asking price at $550,000.
I'll stop you there before you keep going. That's in conjunction with how the homeowners prepared that house and how accurately Rob marketed that in terms of its listing price.
Michaela, if you're watching this, you did the world's greatest job of personally home staging that house. It looked $1 million, and you guys were willing to go out on a limb, let me ride the lawnmower in circles, get the drone shot of that from up above, and it just brought so much attention to that property that we had more than 75 people drive out of town to a suburb they'd never even heard of to see that house. Took 4 offers on contract, and
The rest is history.
the rest is history.
Yeah.
Point number 8.
Are we on point number 8?
I don't know, it's close enough.
What point are we on?
think we're
Let's
at
go
8.
back to 6. If we make 12 or 13, that's more value for our audience.
Well, I'm going to say staging.
Staging.
Yeah.
Making it look good. Do the groundwork so you don't have to do it later. It's always important to just make sure stuff looks good and then you shoot it. Don't try and do it the other way. It just doesn't work.
I'll jump in with a point there about staging. If you're not going to stage, declutter, for God's sake.
Space is the best.
How many toothbrushes have you touched in your life, Sean?
Oh, too many.
Right, so we go into a house to film a video and your toothbrush is sitting out there and your shaving cream and your shampoo. Sometimes the light is dimming, we don't have time, we run around with a box and do what we call the hot shit shuffle and shove everything in it so that we can get our shots right, because no one wants to think about someone else brushing their teeth or pooping in the house they're about to buy. So all that stuff's got to go, including family photos. Wouldn't you agree that that's important?
Yeah, what's the old adage we always say? You want the buyer to walk into the house feeling a home sense, and there's a big difference between a home that's got a homely feel versus someone walking through someone else's house and feeling like they're invading someone's private space.
Mm-hmm.
So take down your photos, put away your toothbrushes.
Clean the kitchen bench top.
Oh, that's a no-brainer.
No, as in like declutter it.
Right. So
All
take off the
benches.
knife block, take off the cutting
Get
board,
rid of all that stuff.
take off the coffee machine,
Make stuff look so much bigger.
maybe
All your
leave a
bench
shiny
space.
kitchen kettle.
If that.
That's it. The easiest way to think about it for you sellers is when you stay at a hotel room, what's it like? Well, it's extremely depersonalized, but you walk in there and feel comfortable because it's yours.
No one else's stuff everywhere.
That's right. And that's what you want your home to be like for sale. Yes, it might feel less homely and sterile to you, but for the buyers, it doesn't feel like they're walking into someone else's house.
If you want to do your own homework, go through a display home.
Exactly.
I can't think of how many times I've mentioned to people, if you don't want to do the staging, but you want to know how to present your home, on weekends, go through a display home, brand new homes. I mean, they're basically attracting the same market who is going to come through your home if it's in a relevant price range. So if you want to know how to present your home, walk through a brand new home.
And you're in competition with those staged brand new homes as an existing homeowner. So if that's your competition, mate,
Compared.
you gotta compare, or they're gonna buy one of those.
0.7.
I'm up to 9.
You're 9. We'll go with 9.
Go with 9.
Yeah.
Spend the money on Facebook. Don't just post a video and expect it to do well. You've got to sponsor it. You've got to get it out there and make sure that an audience that you can eventually set up and tailor, that will deliver it to people's pockets.
And you got to figure out what their price is. I don't think we're going to sit here and disclose that.
No, definitely not. But sometimes we spend $70 on Facebook, and sometimes we spend hundreds of dollars on Facebook. The cool thing about digital marketing and Facebook marketing is
You can change it.
you can turn it on and off on your phone in 1 minute with an app. So if we get a contract on a house in the first 3 days, you haven't spent a huge budget. It's off, it's gone, that money can come back to you. But if you're not on social media, let's say you have a house in a suburb like Kerwin, everyone's looking in Mount Louisa because it's a little bit elevated, the houses are a little bit fancier. They might not have Kerwin in their search, your house might never get seen. We can target people who are looking in the Townsville area for 4-bedroom houses. They definitely see our ad. The first 10 seconds of that ad are engaging. They watch the video, they go through to the website, they see the open home times, they show up, and if you're not promoting it on social media, that doesn't exist.
Exactly.
No, well, what the portals encourage people to do is type in specific suburbs into what they think, which the customer thinks the areas that they would like to live in. And you don't really know where you want to live until you've actually walked through that home. And if you're not on social media broadcasting exactly what your home has to deliver, you're basically missing out on that if you're not in one of the more popular suburbs.
What we say about advertising on social media amongst ourselves is it's like building a stealth bomber when you film an awesome video with an incredible videographer. You have this incredible plane that can get you anywhere you want to go faster than anything else, but putting the money behind it on social media is like putting the fuel in the plane. If you haven't fueled it, you're going nowhere. You're going absolutely nowhere. So make sure that if you have filmed a professional video, or even a basic video with your iPhone is better than nothing, back it on social media, and don't hit the boost button. See episode number 1 to find out why. Number 10.
Number 10, just
This
do
was
it.
important.
Just do it.
Just do it,
Just
yeah.
stop mucking around.
Stop giving every reason why you haven't done it yet. You know, I hear it all the time. It's because I don't have the right equipment. I don't have the right microphone. I don't have the right
videographer.
I don't have the right house to sell. The house that I have to sell isn't a luxury home.
It's cloudy. I don't feel like filming it today.
Wrong.
I'm in a bad mood. I'm not wearing the right clothes.
The home isn't staged.
I don't have my script organized.
Yeah, there's a million excuses, but you know what? If you're not doing it,
It doesn't exist.
it doesn't exist, and you're exactly where you were 5 minutes ago. Even a mediocre video, as long as it isn't so bad it detracts from your brand, is definitely better than no video.
And think long term. You know, don't get discouraged. You've done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It took us, you know, we're talking 50, 60.
It took us
We're probably
15.
almost up to 100 now.
I'd say so,
And I
yeah.
think that's really benefiting now in terms of the flow.
It took us 15 to 20 to really start seeing the benefits from it. And now that we're up in the late 70s, 80s, 90s, as we've said, we do no other external advertising. It's just not necessary. The videos of the houses we're selling promote our brand so well that it sells itself. And I would say for buyers, it's much easier for them to buy our houses because real estate agents can be lumped with politicians and cars dealers as someone you don't want to deal with, and they can be scary because they're about to hit you hard for negotiation. Don't get me wrong, we'll do that too, but
if your face is already out there on the video spectrum, you're going to feel like they're going to think of you as the nice guy already because they think you're this funny, charismatic person. You probably are because if it comes across in video, I try and push for the natural self. That's always the thing. There's no point faking it.
Have your own style.
Have your own style and
Yeah,
be individual with
100%.
it and just make it happen. So.
in saying that, you don't have to be goofy. We have
Exactly.
a really, really good friend named Michelle Hyde. Oh, she is a genius when it comes to video.
Queen of real estate.
Absolute killer. And she has this incredible poise and character and professionality. And you know what? She attracts clients that want exactly that.
Exactly. Markets are different for so many different things. So,
And she uses the same videographer we do, but attracts totally different people.
and that's the other skill in terms of being a videographer is you've got to differentiate people's styles and not just shoot everything the same.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to look different, and you can't. Like, for example, I couldn't make a video I do with you look exactly the same as a video I do with you because it just won't work. You don't have.
Well, we found that out when we were doing videos together.
That's right.
That's so
You should have
true.
seen Sean try to mimic my style.
Yeah,
It was a nightmare. And he found it very hard to do video when we were doing them together.
Yeah.
And now that I'm not in the city, a new Sean video pops up on my screen and I'm like, you legend, you killed it.
Yeah.
Because I'm not there dictating what he's supposed to say.
I think it goes back to having your own style. You know, do what you feel comfortable with, and just project who you are. People are attracted to who you are as a human being, and I think, you know, if you've got someone like Kaine, supporting you and doing those videos to a professional level, you're going to attract the people that you want to attract anyway. You know, you're going to attract the buyers that want to see the home. You're going to attract clients that work really well with your personality. It's
a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, so if you want to find Sean, you can go to Facebook and look up
Sean Lubbe.
Sean Lubbe Remax. So have a look at me on Facebook, Sean Lubbe Remax.
That's Lubbe. It's not lube, it's Lubbe.
Lubbe. I like that. Yeah, thank you. And realestate.com. So if you're an Australian audience or if you're sitting in Townsville, have a look at my realestate.com profile. You can just type in Sean Lubbe Real Estate. It should be the very first tab on Google.
Fantastic. And if you want to get in touch with Kaine Constantine, he works not only all over Australia, but he's also flown internationally to make videos for people. How can they get in touch with you?
Easiest way is my Facebook page probably as well, which is Constantine Create.
Right. And how do you spell that?
Constantine.
Right, Constantine Create. We'll put that up on the screen. We'll also have a link below. Rightio, guys. Well, this has been fantastic. I miss you. It's so nice to be up here and catch up with you.
We didn't miss you.
Classic. All right, everybody.
We miss you around the place, mate.
Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay targeted.